before there were books to remember them, before there were cameras to capture them. They existed. They commanded armies of thousands. They built empires. They made colonizers retreat in terror. And then history erased them. Tonight we unearth the warriors the world was made to forget. The queens, the generals, the daughters of fire. For centuries, Western historians told one story. Africa was a land waiting to be discovered, waiting to be civilized. That story was a lie. Long before European ships touched African shores, sophisticated kingdoms thrived. The Dahomey, the Ashanti, the Ndongo, the Zazzau, each with complex governments, advanced metallurgy and standing armies. And within those armies, something the colonial mind could not comprehend: women. Not as symbols, not as exceptions, as commanders. The archaeological record is clear. The oral histories are consistent. The colonial diaries themselves admit it, often in terror. In 1727, King Agaja of Dahomey faced a crisis. Wars had decimated his male population. His kingdom was vulnerable. His solution would terrify Europe for the next 170 years. He expanded the Ahosi, the king's wives, from royal bodyguards into a full military regiment, women who had proven themselves in combat, women who would take vows of celibacy, women who trained until their bodies bore the scars of battle before their first war. European visitors called them Amazons. They called themselves Mino, our mothers. At their peak they numbered 6,000. They carried Danish muskets, machetes and clubs with razor edges. A French naval officer wrote, "They fight with extreme valor, always ahead of the men." When France invaded in 1892 expecting easy victory, the Ahosi became their nightmare. 300 years before the Ahosi, in what is now northern Nigeria, a girl trained for war while other princesses prepared for marriage. Her name was Amina. History would call her the greatest Hausa warrior who ever lived. By age 16, she had earned the title of Magajia, crown princess, not through birthright but through combat. When her brother died, she did not mourn. She mounted her horse. For 34 years, Queen Amina waged continuous campaigns. She expanded Zazzau's territory to its largest borders ever. She opened trade routes to the Sahara, to the Atlantic, to the Mediterranean. The walls she built to protect conquered cities still stand. They are called Ganuwar Amina, Amina's walls. She never married. When asked why, she reportedly said, "I take a husband in every city I conquer. I leave him when I leave." She died in battle, still fighting, still conquering, at over 70 years old. In 1624, Portugal wanted Angola. They wanted its people as slaves. They expected negotiation to be simple. They did not expect Nzinga. When she arrived to negotiate, the Portuguese offered her no chair, a calculated insult. She was meant to stand like a servant before their seated governor. She ordered her servant to kneel. She sat upon his back as a throne. Now she said, "We are equals." For the next 40 years, Queen Nzinga waged guerrilla war against Portuguese slavers. She freed enslaved Africans and armed them. She formed alliances with the Dutch, played European powers against each other. She established a new kingdom, Matamba, as a sanctuary for the escaped. The Portuguese called her a savage, a witch, a demon. Her people called her Angola, the ruler. The word survives today. We call her country. Angola, so why don't you know their names? The answer is not an accident. It is architecture. Colonial education systems were designed to teach African children that their history began with European contact. Pre-colonial achievements were dismissed as mythology. Women warriors posed a double threat. They challenged European assumptions about race and gender. The Ahosi were reframed as curiosities. Amina became legend. Nzinga was labeled savage. And slowly, systematically, they were removed from history books entirely. But oral traditions endured. Griots, traditional storytellers, kept the names alive. Archaeologists unearthed the weapons. Historians decoded the documents. The truth was never destroyed. It was only buried. Today, Benin celebrates its warrior queens. Statues rise in Luanda. Nigerian students recite Amina's conquests. In 2022, a film about the Ahosi became a global phenomenon. The world finally glimpsed what Africa always knew. These women did not fight to be remembered. They fought for their people, their land, their freedom. But perhaps remembering them is the fight now. Amina of Nzinga, the Ahosi, and hundreds more whose names we are still recovering. They are not mythology, they are genealogy. The blood of generals flows through modern veins. They called these women daughters of fire. They tried to extinguish that fire with silence, with lies, with erasure. They failed, because fire doesn't die. It waits, it smolders, and when the wind shifts, it rises. For the generals history forgot, and the daughters who will remember,